today we're interviewing an artist, Van Eggers. Primarily he does skate, but he's overall does a bunch of stuff, murals, skate decks,
he also
paintings,
reps at skating too.
And he skates. Okay, we've just arrived on the scene in somewhere in Long Beach. How's it going?
It's Youth Magazine.
Yes, sir.
What's up, y'all?
Mikey. Nice to meet you.
Man,
nice to meet you.
What's up, Carson?
How you guys doing? Carson,
nice to
pleasure
meet you,
brother.
Brought you an issue right here.
Oh, awesome, dude. Thank you so much. This cat likes to make a run for it. He's super cool. Oh, watch out for that one, man. That one ain't friendly.
Oh, really?
That one will...
Whisperer, so.
Don't kill me.
Yeah, this one's a little deceitful, man. Like, she'll love you for 2 seconds, and then she'll go in for the kill. This is definitely like more of a newer style that I'm working on, or more of like a development of where I was at before. This one, I mean, I think it was inspired a little bit by like some of my late night graffiti adventures as a team, where like we would use like our car to like get up off the hood and then get on top of like a fence and then crawl up. But this was like, you know, there wasn't really a plan for what it was going to be as I was developing it. It just sort of turned out that I had this sort of like block space here that I was like, oh, you know what? I think I could carve sort of like a old Volvo like my sister drove or something into that. And then the narrative sort of naturally developed. But I've kind of been playing with this like style of line where instead of, you know, painting the line, and I take like a brad nail and I just carve in and create that
I love that
because
they pop.
I think it just distinguishes it a little bit, and it gives it a little bit more of a layering. Like, I like to have a lot of undertones in there. Like, I don't want it to look like an illustration. Like, I very much want it to be textured and pulled in and out of. But this is kind of like, I think where it's leading to is...
I love that piece.
These, like, this is one I just finished too, which is going to kind of like go with this one, which is like to... Like, I think they're inspired by... Really, when I was like your guys' age, like when I was in my early 20s, I was living in a bunch of like skate houses and punk houses, which was like, you know, 5 people to a room or something. And you would essentially have it laid out like army cots. And it's something you can only do like in your early 20s. Like earlier than that, you're runaways from home. Later than that, it's like your life went off the rails and you need to reevaluate some things. But there's this sweet spot when you're between like 23 and 27, when you can sort of live this lifestyle. There's like a coziness and an intimacy and just like a sort of specialness to it. And I think as I'm entering like, you know, the latter half of my like adolescence, so to speak, it's like kind of reflecting on that time and trying to like crystallize it while it's still fresh in my memory.
Can you walk us through like a start to finish kind of lately on like what's been your creative process when creating art?
Sure. This painting started as like just this sketch in a sketchbook. You know, I changed this figure and it was just something loose, kind of like, I think I was inspired by these like old photographs of people in the Navy when they were like bunked up in these cruise ships. And I was like, oh, that kind of bears a funny resemblance to like these skate scenes. And then I'll kind of like trace it out large scale. And then I'll do, you know, that way I can have an idea of like what it's going to look like at scale.
And so that's on see-through paper, obviously, right?
That's just on tracing paper.
Okay, yeah.
So I'll just sort of do it large scale, and then I'll either do like a little pounce pattern, like I'll take this and put it on there, I'm sorry, I'm kind of skipping a step here. What I'll do before applying this is I'll lay out just like an abstract background. So like you can see underneath it, you know, there's lots of like different colors peeking through and like, you know, all this sort of energy.
Texture.
And just these different colors and layers that were there before I applied this. So I'll just create like a big mess, like just sort of a playground.
Yeah.
And then I'll lay this image over it. And then I'll start, you know, the actual painting process once I have all that on. And then I'll sort of work back into it as I go and be like, okay, what needs to be painted on? And what can I kind of just leave there as evidence of, you know, of pre-existing painting. You know?
What video game would these guys be playing?
N64, dude, for sure. I think Mario Kart.
Mario Kart? Was that the go-to?
That's definitely the go-to, dude. Mario Kart's my joint.
Oh, I like that one of the kids. What's that top scene? They're in a raft, right?
Oh, yeah. So that one, again, it kind of started as an abstraction. Then this scene sort of just emerged from it. I think they're tubing, and this lady in the and the boat is sort of pulling them, and you can
Yeah.
see there's a little slack in the line,
I
so
love
they're
that.
about to get ripped out. It became like a very sentimental piece because I grew up in the Midwest. I grew up in Chicago and Wisconsin, and lake culture is what exists there. You know, there's no
Yeah.
ocean, so like someone would have a tube, and someone's parent would have like a speedboat, and then you would just go out tubing all day. And I don't know if you can get more like pure fun than tubing. Like that's pretty much like the quintessentially best childhood moments you can have is being pulled in a tube, you know, with your ma or dad, you know, watching you. Like that is the essence of it. It doesn't make for like a particularly edgy subject matter, but it is like sincere, and that's like kind of the happiest moments of my childhood. I started skateboarding when I was 5, and then I think I started drawing when I was 2. That's what my ma told me. I can't really remember. But skateboard imagery was like one of the first things that had an impact on me. It was like skateboard graphics, and then things that were sort of adjacent to skateboarding, which would be like graffiti and street art and, you know, graphic t-shirts and things like that, and like comic books. So visuals and skateboarding sort of went hand in hand, you know, like you're kind of seduced by the visuals before, or at least I was before it was the act of skateboarding.
Can you talk about how does an art piece turn into like a skate deck? Like how do you go from that transition, you know?
Oh yeah, so as far as like doing, well, let's see. Actually, here, I can bring these out. Sometimes they might have like a loose idea, like these two I just did for CCS. This one's
Those are
horizontal.
fucking sick.
And
That is so sick.
Thanks, man. My friend Matt Jones came to me with the idea of like someone doom scrolling and for those reasons, you know, missing out on either, you know, some massive explosion that might take out the entirety of a city or a potential 5-car pileup or whatever. I mean, conceptually, like...
That kind of goes
You know,
with like
nice.
the youth magazine kind of get
Yeah.
off your phone thing.
I think that those things are made to marry each other.
Yeah.
Yeah, this one is for my friend Miles, who's like one of my really close friends. And we just wanted to do a board together, and we both love jazz, and he's from the city of Baltimore. So he grabbed just like some cool posters that he liked, and then he was like, hey, can you kind of take these images, put your little spin on it, try and use your style, and then of course like add Baltimore in there, and then sort of change it into like a jazz theme, you know, and the Orioles bird for Baltimore, and he loves vinyl. So it's just sort of a composite of his ideas and my ideas. And then we just got something cool together that we liked, and then we sent it to Ed over at Toy Machine. He gave it the thumbs up, and then we sent it to the creative team, and they seemed to like it. And then, you know, a year or so later, it came off the press, and people seem to like that one.
Toy Machine? That's sick.
Yeah, that was one of
awesome.
my favorite companies growing up, so it's pretty cool to get to do some work for them now.
Do you skate your own boards?
If they're in my size, I will definitely skate them. That's like way more fun because, like, you know, of course, as a kid, like you dream of going pro. And by the time I was like 13, I was like, I'm not gonna do that. But it's like the next best thing, or maybe even better for me, is like having the art that I made on a board that I get to skate. So if they make it in an 8.5, for damn sure I'm skating that. Like that's going under my feet the second I get it, because that's a real sense of fulfillment. And then even better than that is like if you see a board that you drew being skated by someone outside, like if a kid has it, or, you know, one of the teammates on the company like has it in a clip, and I can sort of make out that like that's a board I did, like that's even better when you see like something you made go out in the world and come back to you without you knowing it, or like
That's cool.
expecting it. Aiden Campbell's part in Splendor, I believe, I did a board for him, which is like it didn't get mass produced. They did make a couple, which is like his dog in a rocking chair. Actually, I might have it. He loved that board because he loves his dog. And I think he skated like, I don't know. Oh yeah, nice. It's right on top. Yeah, that's like his little pit bull. And I was like, we should do it. We should do a graphic with that. And I originally drew him as like a male cowboy. And he was like, oh, my dog's a lady. Like, do you think we could do it like an old Southern Victorian style lady, like on her porch, you know, with the shotgun? And I was like, dude, for damn sure. And he was stoked on that. So I think there's like 5 clips of him in Splendor skating this board. And when he's like, not only is he skating it, but he's clearly stoked on it. Like that's pretty fucking cool. You
That's
know?
awesome. Yeah, that's sick. What brought you out here originally?
Skateboard art. It was like I went to college in Florida, and it was great. Like I went to a really cool school called Flagler and got like super cool professors. And like once I got everything out of that school that I wanted to, but then realized like Florida does not have the creative opportunity in like board sports that California does.
Yeah.
And I was sort of torn between like potentially either going to New York to go to grad school or come out here where like a lot of my friends had already moved for skateboarding and just try and get involved in the skate industry somehow. And then it just happened perfectly. Like right when I moved out here, like my friend Julian that I was going to live with, like got sponsored by Foundation, and my friend Corey that I grew up with in Chicago was already riding for F, so they got me into the door so I could give them like a zine and some drawings. And like we immediately got to work on graphics, but it was all like basically to try and do skateboard graphics and paintings and try and be on the creative end of skateboarding. Yeah, it was nice that it worked out, you know? I mean, well, it worked out in that like I got to do a lot of board graphics and like have a lot of fun and work with friends of mine and childhood heroes and the companies I always worked for. But I didn't think at the time how low paying the skate industry was. So now being 31, I'm like, oh, okay, now I gotta find something that is gonna enable me to not do all of my work 3 feet from my bed. Well, I mean, going to college is not necessary for every artist. It's there. I wanted to learn how to be a formally good artist. Like I wanted to learn how to draw exactly what I was looking at from life. And I wanted to know how to create my own figures using my imagination. I wanted it to look like my heroes that were like Walt Disney animators. That's what I wanted to learn how to do. And I wanted to learn how to paint like Gauguin, you know? And like, obviously that is a pretty hefty task to take on. But like, I wanted to learn these technical aspects of drawing. And art school is really good for that. So going there was a lot of like life models, you know, like you see on TV, or where you get the nude models coming in and you draw and paint directly from life, and you paint still lifes. And then you have, like, I had a really, really, really good professor named Sarah Pedigo, who is extremely talented figurative painter and took a lot of pride in seeing her students get better. And like, it sounds kind of square to like put so much emphasis on art school and all this. Like I'm losing my street cred, but it's true. Like, truthfully, Sarah Pedigo was a massive aid in like helping learn how to render the human figure. And then Lauren Meyer, who I took medals with, was like someone who shaped me intellectually, because he's an abstract artist, which like I had no interest in up till meeting him. But from him just talking to me and informing me about things that influenced him and his history, and working alongside him, I gained, you know, a massive appreciation for that and sort of a new understanding of what art could do, you know, and what painting was capable of, and where it came from. And yeah, like me and him, like he would teach me during the day, and then in the evenings we either go to a punk show or we would go paint trains. And it was like, I had some history doing graffiti, but it was very like, what you know is graffiti, like graffiti letters and just using spray paint, and you're trying to hold down a name and, you know, get it on as many cars as possible. And he was coming from like the world of abstraction and fine arts. So he was like, let's do something totally different. So we would like show up to these freight yards with, you know, spray paint and, you know, wall paint and a bunch of wheat pasting materials and pre-existing images. And we would just sort of like throw it at a car and approach it like a canvas, like no plan. Let's just put a bunch of shit onto these freight cars and see what we can produce. And that was like the most fun I've ever had doing graffiti, because it was totally unconventional. Like there usually wouldn't even be a letter on the thing, which, you know, like purist graffiti artists would be like, that's fucking bullshit, you know, like that's hipster art school shit and we don't want it on the yards. But fuck it, like we had so much fun doing that. And it was a cool dynamic because, you know, he's a professor and he has his own family, but then also we're like out at night doing graffiti and going to punk shows and just
that's
like
sick. Did you guys have any like close run-ins? You were like, train starts rolling and you're like, fuck.
Quite a few, man. We had some fun times. Like one that comes to mind specifically because it was like, Lauren didn't respond to it the way I would have expected him to. Like we were painting this one car in Jacksonville, Florida, and we were probably 80% of the way done. And we were using like these cans that we had found, these like little drum barrels to stand on and get higher onto the boxcar and get our pieces finished. And then we noticed like the bull, which is, you know, the security guard for the yard, coming at us in his truck and kind of like barreling after us. So he like clearly wants to tag us, and we're like, okay, shit. So we like grab everything. We grab these barrels too, because we wanted to paint these later. And as he's gaining on us, like I freaked out and like I was like, fuck, and threw the barrel, not thinking Lauren was like right behind me. And he just fucking Donkey Kong like barrel jumped over it and kept his going while this like guy in a truck is like barreling after us, like trying to, you know, ostensibly run us down. And he's laughing about it. And I'm like, this is a 4-year-old man with a collegiate career, a family, and he's laughing in this situation, which is like scaring the shit out of me. And I'm supposed to be this like young skater kid that's used to like these situations, and yet I'm the one freaking out. Like that was one where I was like, wow, you really like are made from something different. Because then we had to like hide in bushes for like 45 minutes.
So yeah, how'd you get away? You guys ended up hiding and then you were fine?
Yeah, we turned off and jumped into this shrubbery. The truck went past us, and then we sort of like army crawled down the ways a bit, and we just saw his lights just sort of like going over the tall grass that we were in. I don't think he wanted to like go in it. So he just like, once he saw like we were thoroughly spooked, I think he thought we had maybe like ducked off. He just drove away. We're like, all right, let's get the fuck out of here. Because like that was way too close of a call. But yeah, he never seemed scared. I was, for sure.
So do you think his job would be on the line? Not really.
Definitely.
Yeah?
Yeah. Like,
how fucked do you get for like getting caught doing something like that? I'm not really too aware.
Well, the law isn't even that gnarly. Like in most places, graffiti is like, it's not even charged as a felony. It's like a misdemeanor. So you don't get in that much trouble. You might get, you know, in holding for the night, but it's not that bad. But if you're like a college professor and you get caught like doing vandalism with one of your students.
Is he still a professor?
No.
Okay.
No.
So you talking about it doesn't matter?
No, it's all good. Like he lives in Louisville now. He just does full-time painting.
Cool.
Like I just went to his art show.
Fuck yeah, that's sick.
2 months ago, and hung out with him. So this is all declassified.
Declassified information.
Yeah.
What's like the rule though on drawing over or painting over someone else's? How does that work? What's some of the like unheard of rules of tagging and doing graffiti?
Well, I mean, if you can avoid going over anyone, it's just best, better. You know. But if you're gonna go over someone who's like doing like a quick little shitty tag or throw up or something, like you just want to make sure you're doing something worthwhile. And generally, like if you're really taking your time on something and like trying to make it like a solid, fully realized piece, then it's all good. Like I like to paint up here just because it's like you're away from the main traffic.
A junkie walking through the twilight. I'm on my way home. I left 3 days ago, but no one seems to know I'm gone. Home is where the hatred is. Home is filled with pain, and it might not be such a bad idea if I never went home again.
Can you talk a little bit about that? Like what's been some fun stuff with some murals?
I mean, murals are always kind of the ideal because doing art and skateboarding, obviously, like you guys can relate to this, like you want to be outside, you want to kind of be in your environment.
Yeah.
And, you know, mural jobs, particularly when they're outside, are like such a great way of being creative, giving something to the community, doing what you enjoy, and then also kind of being able to interact with the public. And it's really about kind of like action painting. Like you can kind of see what I'm doing now too is like you get to get your whole body into that thing, you know, like you get to get a little funky.
Yeah.
And, you know, murals, obviously the big perk is like you don't have to rush, take your time, and you kind of get to see people's reaction to it, you know, in real time as you're making it. Most of them have come like via skateboarding actually, because
most murals.
Yeah, just because like they'll see like, oh, you know, you've got this kind of painterly thing going on, and you seem to be pretty into characters. So like, why don't you toss some of those on the side of my building or something, or
yeah,
you know, in our offices, which is always cool. And I'm always pretty easy to work with, you know. I'm like, yeah, whatever you guys want to do, you know, as long as you have the space and the time, like, I'm available. I'd like to do more of them, but they are sometimes a little hard to find, you know. It's a little far in between. But if you guys need a mural in Youth Magazine headquarters,
yeah, hopefully someday.
Oh, I got a feeling that day is coming, my friend.